In today's video, we are going to take a look at David Quadio and some basketball defense tips that you can use in your game as how David uses them when he's locking up the players who he has to defend. These tips are going to help every single player, but really quickly, make sure to go check out my vertical jump training book that is down in the description below so that you can jump higher. Let's get down, let's check out David Quadio. Okay, so right here, what do we see? Well, the first thing that we see is he's trying to keep his shoulders lower than the offensive player. This is going to give him leverage when he wants to direct this offensive player where he wants him to go. He's got his hands down, palms up, mainly because if you want to swipe up when you're playing defense, the ball is going down. Guess what? You're going to have a greater chance of getting that ball when it's on the way down and you're swiping up than if the ball was on the way down and you were swiping down, because what happens then? Referees see this, and if you make any kind of contact with his arm or even his hand, even though technically in FIBA rules the hand is part of the ball, then you are going to get a foul. So swiping up, you've got a greater chance, greater distance to be able to hit the ball, but it is also going to get you less foul calls. Now, what else do we see? Well, we can see that he's shuffling along. He's now protecting the crossover with his right hand. He should be reaching out just a bit more, but that's fine. He's nice and balanced. And he's keeping his head up. He's looking at the mid area of that player's body so that he knows exactly where that player is going to go. Going on along this, now he's overplaying him on this side. He wants to try and move this player towards the sideline. Not many coaches want the ball to go up middle. Most coaches want that ball to go up sideline, so David is going to overplay this player and he's going to force him towards the sideline. When this player is now dribbling towards that sideline, David is running alongside him, and I know there's a lot of older school coaches who will say you should not be doing this. However, his chest is pretty well still squared with that player. He's making contact with his chest on that player, directing him where he wants him to go, and he's locking in that off arm so that he can 100% allow, or force, I should say, that player to go exactly where he wants him to go. As soon as that player tries to spin off or change directions, David now squares back up and he is still with that player. That player is now going towards the sideline, and yes, once again, now David is shuffling, but his chest is on that player, directing that player where he wants him to go, which then forces that player to do a lob pass over that David's teammate should have been able to intercept. So now in fast play, or slower fast play, whatever, what we can see is David is able to shuffle along, forces that player towards that sideline. He's able to continue making chest contact with that player to direct that player where he wants him to go. We also see that when David is directing that player right now, he gets that off arm up. That is very important right there. Having that arm up right here stops any passes from going through. Especially if you've got a longer wingspan like David does, this is going to be an extremely hard pass to make. Even though this player should have been fronting here, and Eardy should have been playing a bit back in case of a lob pass over top to this guy, having that hand here is going to stop this player from wanting to pass over here. JoJo should have been just a bit closer. However, that pass would have been impossibly hard to get through. And then we can see once again right here, David has that lead hand up. Maybe he needs to be a bit higher, that's about it. But a lob pass over just to get rid of that ball, that was lockup defense. Now, what we see right here is a little bit of slow feet. That should have been a quick shuffle out to be able to continue along with that player. However, David is able to run alongside, and he's basically locking out the ability to pass towards that right side or up middle by having that hand up, and he's in that pocket right here. This is extremely important. If you're trying to direct a player and you've allowed him to get better position to be in front of you, being able to lock this pocket is extremely important, because now if this player crosses back over to this side, that's an automatic steal for David. So now this player is forced to use his left hand and his left hand only. He has to make a pass with that left hand. He needs to be able to dribble with that left hand. He can't do anything with the right side at all. This allowed David's defender or his teammate to come over and trap that sideline. This is the sideline right here. Even though That's the half court line. This is the sideline. This is a very hard court to be able to see lines on. But we can see that David was forcing him sideline. Now, in theory, Brian should have been meeting him right here. This should have been a trap exactly right here. Brian's setting up way too high, or way too low, and he's way too far away from that sideline. If this player was smart, he would have dribbled along that sideline and beat Brian. However, this player has ingrained in his mind, like most players do, to try and get the ball back up middle. You can't do that with a bigger, stronger player on your hip and in your pocket. And that player who's guarding you in your pocket is directing you right towards his teammate. So while Brian didn't set up perfectly, this player should have taken sideline because Brian wasn't set up right. This would have never been possible if David didn't ride the pocket of that offensive player, which then disallowed that player to even use that right hand at all. By locking a player in his pocket, that player is not going to be going right at all. I hope that these tips help you become a better defender. If they do, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.